Welcome to the Stranger Things Season 4 finale. I guess we'll talk about 2 episodes, though, right? So it's 2 episodes
Yes.
that were long episodes.
2 movie-length episodes.
Yeah.
Well, one's like a regular movie-length episode. One's like The Godfather Part 2.
It's funny. I started watching the first one like at 11 o'clock at night. And I finished it. It was like, 12:30, quarter to 1. I said, okay, I'll just start watching it. When I get tired, I'll go to bed. I mean, I was in bed watching it, but I'll just go to sleep. I went to the end.
Wow.
Of the series?
Good job.
Yeah, I couldn't stop.
Because
Good
especially
job.
given how dense the final episode was.
Yeah,
There was a lot. I got
yeah,
to
like
watch Papa twice because my husband got stuck at work until like the middle of the night. So the kids and I watched it, and then I watched it again the next day with him.
Papa.
Papa lies.
Papa
it
lies.
was-
Papa lies.
like I was saying before we came on, I was flying home that day, and I just, I had to delete all
Were
the
your
social
arms
media.
tired?
They were. And I just had to. That was dumb. Anyway, no. I had to delete all the social media off my phone, just because I didn't want to.
You don't have to. You live in America, not Russia. As you can see, as we see from Stranger Things, there's a big difference between Russia
Oh,
and the
yeah.
United States. and
Peanut
America.
butter for one.
Exactly.
Butter.
It's all about the peanut butter.
No KGB.
But I was able to watch it that day. I was able to watch the whole thing. So thank God I was able to put my social media back on, or I would have died.
That would have been the end. That would have been the end of you.
Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
This is the end.
People did pretty good about spoilers in the first 20 hours, but once we started to hit the 24, 25 mark, things started to slip.
Well, and I was thinking about it. Like, I wonder if this age of social media impacts the way that these guys are writing their shows too. Because not just writing, but managing it. Because we might as well get into the first spoiler that came out was Eddie's fate, right?
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember my first reaction was after the first part of the season came out, and they kind of considered him like the breakout star.
Mm-hmm.
And he, in the interview, he was talking about his role in season 5. Like, he was talking about what next season will be like, right? And I mean, he's either flat out lying or there's something that he's withholding, right? But like, that was the first thing that went through my mind as I started seeing the spoilers. Is like, wait, did they do just like a massive?
We don't see him actually die, do we? I guess technically,
I mean, we see him fade, right? So
yeah.
kind of to jump into some D&D stuff here, and then I think you might be able to join in on some of the theories that have been circulating. Is that there's a pretty popular notion that he might be Cass, who is going to be I don't know, do you know anything about Cass? Okay.
No.
Mama
So-
Cass?
Not the mama, not
Okay.
the mama. Vampire Cass,
Oh, okay.
who is created by Vecna and is
Oh, okay.
basically like resurrected, created by Vecna. Cass wields a spear and a shield made out of spikes on the shield, and he kind of that's who he is the puppet master of. So this theory is going around that he could possibly not be dead, but I kind of feel like Duffer Brother World here, I think, would be, if they were going to do anything in the lines of that, the character would more likely be Max than it would be Eddie.
Right.
The problem is, though, he's still wanted for murder.
Yes.
So if he...
But Cass, see, in the story with D&D, Cass turns on Vecna, takes him out, and then becomes the hero. So...
That to me, just as somebody who strides both the real world and the fantasy world, looks like looking for too many, seeing the unicorn in the random data.
So many crossed fingers and hoping so much for the literal storyline.
Right now, I'm going to assume that that they just coached him really well, like in these interviews, the actors, to tell people like,
Yeah.
this has
Yeah.
been
Well,
great. Yeah.
why not bring the body back and let the uncle have some closure?
Well, that would be great, but I mean, I think that the body being stuck on that side doesn't really mean anything for us storyline wise. I mean, Barb's there. No one went and got her. I mean, it's not unheard of
Because
that
they forgot about her. Nancy goes again.
Poor
Barb was like, she's like, Barb wasn't that good a friend.
She's like, not that important. Like, gonna haunt me forever, but only because of my guilty conscience, not because of my love for Barb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also try to imagine like our little Ewok Dustin trying to like pull this like guy, from like one end of the dimension to another, and I just don't think it's plausible.
Was he on a treadmill? I mean, I know he had a hurt leg, and he's not the most athletic kid in the world, but that's his friend, his buddy.
He didn't get that far.
Move a little faster.
Just move it. Just move
Didn't
it.
he literally almost break his leg when he fell out of the thing though?
Yeah.
Suck it up, kid. Rub some dirt on it. He should have. It's the
there
80s.
Are no participation trophies here.
It was the 80s. You rubbed dirt on it and kept running. This is not. You're not.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not 2022 where you go. Oh, give me a Band-Aid.
But they did. I mean, they did kind of cut that off in the sense that I think you have the death scene, and then you actually don't see, like, you never actually see Dustin leave or how he gets back to the other side. That's just all of a sudden he's in the flash forward to 2 days later.
Yeah, so there's got to be something that goes back, right? Because they made a big show of us seeing Eddie cut that rope from one side to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wouldn't Nancy and I'm drawing a blank on 2 other names, the three amigos, wouldn't they have come and met up with
Yeah,
Dustin?
And I mean, I guess Dustin did just put a chair in on like our side and jump to that side. So I guess the same could apply on the other end.
I do think Eddie was specifically trying to save Dustin and not have him come back because he knew he would try to come back.
Yeah,
and, I'm firmly in the camp that Eddie's dead.
Yeah, I feel the same.
I was in the camp that Eddie should have kept running another 20 or 30 yards and been protected.
He could have made it.
He should have zigzagged, right?
Yeah. I'm not going to run this time. Well,
yeah. I'm just saying, like, they could have. I mean, they did go to an army surplus store. There's a little bit of everything, and I feel like the appropriate pesticide probably would have at least bought them some time against the bats. I don't know. Like a can of Raid could have bought them the 5 seconds needed.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it did feel like they made that death almost pointless.
Yeah, it was. It's a sad thing. I mean, at the end, it's just. Is it there just to make us sad, to like love a character and make us sad? That's not really what they do. That's not how they write. There's got to be some purpose to it.
Yeah,
I have to mildly push back on that simply because we definitely have a pattern where we bring in characters, they make us love them, and they kill them specifically.
They are good at that.
So they don't have to kill the main kids.
That's true.
Okay, so we're entering the 5th season, and all the main kids.
They did that with Billy.
But to be fair,
but nobody liked Billy.
No, we love Billy. Well, one person loved Billy.
Poor Bob.
One person liked Billy.
No one remembers Bob.
We didn't like Bob either because he would make those derogatory comments about people who were lacking hair, right?
Plus, not only that, but he was also asking for everyone's zip code.
I mean, he was a little hateful
Radio Shack
clowns. I mean, Bob
Baldo.
had his right.
I was okay with Bob not making it.
But here's another thing that we have a constant theme with their storytelling is the sacrificial love. Right. So it's Bob, he didn't necessarily sacrifice himself per se for Joyce's safety, but he went in to protect. Like he went in there with them as a family to protect his newly formed family. And the same thing happened with Billy, and the same thing has happened with Eddie and Max. I mean, it's just a constant. Everything 11 does is because of her love to her friends.
Mhm.
So it's definitely in the realm of that part of their storytelling. But I think that Eddie's death is going to push a few more things on Dustin's end. Probably, I think it's put some fire in Dustin. Dustin keeps getting these surrogate fathers too. If you notice that, like he really attaches himself to these older, older like male
Steve.
contemporary friends, yeah, and really looks up to them. But when you look at Dustin in comparison to all of his friends, he's got the most guts out of all of them. I feel.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's the coolest one. He's the one that's always going to take the things that are looked at maybe as being a little bit nerdy or dorky and really owning them and having no shame in it.
Mhm.
And we see that when Eddie's like, you have to, you know, he's handing the Hellfire torch over to him. You've got to save him. You got to like save all these lost kids. So maybe that's more than anything, the importance of Eddie being there is for Dustin.
Okay, I can go with that.
And I also think, you know, since you mentioned Dustin, I just want to shout out like all the main actors, all the main kid actors from the series in the last like episode specifically, simply because like even people that I started to really not like Mike, or that didn't have big emotional.
He's the heart.
He's the heart. But I mean, every single one of those kids, every single member of the party had one scene that like ripped me in half.
Yes.
In that
Yeah.
finale.
And one kid
Absolutely.
literally got ripped in half.
Well, that kid deserved it, and that was the best ever.
It was.
I do like how that happened just kind of in the background.
And it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Like, it was like-
right
Okay.
away.
But would it, like, question, wouldn't that technically have counted for Vecna's fourth?
But she already died when that.
Did
Yeah.
she die? But okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
That
like,
was his
he should have
bonus
just
5.
taken him. He should have just taken him and saved us all this trouble.
But he's, you know, it's so scary what Max is in now. It's kind of worse than death.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
they have that scene where 11 goes in. They show you what 11 saw at the bedside before Hopper shows up, and it was nothing. She couldn't find
Right.
Max.
Now,
So Max is, you know,
where do you think she is? Because
Certain hotel, Ethan.
hanging out in a hotel.
I didn't say it.
But we've got Max at the very beginning, and what happened the first time he tried to take Max? What happened to her? She got into his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
Yep.
likely that's where he's at. And shout out on a really awesome Easter egg, and probably my favorite that I've seen in this show so far. I didn't see it the first time, but like on a little bit of some rewatch. I have an 8-year-old, and she really wanted to watch the first part of the season, but it was a little bit too scary. So she wanted to know how it ended before she would go back and rewatch it. Once the suspense was gone, she was like, "Okay, I want to watch."
Did she watch the first 3 seasons?
Yes.
They're probably a little easier to watch than season 4.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely
So
scary.
she needed to know kind of like what to expect before she went in. So we rewatched some of it. Now, interesting thing here, when Max is taken over to the other side and kind of wanders into his mind, she sees a tombstone, and like the tombstone says Myers on it. And it's interesting that there's a Michael Myers mask that we see throughout the series.
Right.
And
Yeah.
only 2 people that ever wore it were her and Eddie.
Yeah.
So I thought
Yeah.
that was clever.
Interesting.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, neither did I until I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
So
But let's point out the obvious before we go any further.
Mhm.
The main bad guy's a smoke monster.
Always.
I'm just gonna say that.
It's
I'm just
always
gonna say
a
that.
smoke monster.
It's
So
always a smoke monster.
has Titus Welliver been confirmed yet for the final season?
But was he the bad guy?
All right. I'm sorry I said anything. Let's move on.
I would argue that he's not, but that's
All right, so Jack, I thought about you immediately at the beginning of the first of these 2 episodes, especially when they're talking to Nancy and she's describing what happened, and she starts talking about things that we didn't see on camera, right? And immediately, like, the Lost instinct kicked in, like where my mind was going, where Jack Glatfelter's mind was going, is like, is she basically channeling Vecna now, right? And is she basically like leading them astray because she's saying something that we haven't seen as a viewer, right?
Right.
Right.
So I'm guessing they probably cut some of that out, or they never got to making it.
Plus, Nancy can't be trusted.
Right.
Listen,
She does make some questionable fashion choices.
She was all about Steve this season,
Yeah, she was. It was the hairy chest. That's what did it.
But then Jonathan comes back. Oh, my boyfriend.
Yeah.
We're fine. Everything's fine. We're great.
Everything's And Steve's just like, whatever.
We're great. Wish.com Norman Reedus. We're fine.
Hey, did you guys check out the Alien Resurrection reenactment in Papa? When Winona Ryder is walking through and all the Demigorgons are in the tubes.
Yep.
And one's lying on the table and says, "Kill me." No,
yeah.
No,
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Well, that's another one. Joyce forgot about Bob pretty quick.
Well, it's been a few years.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I guess.
Move on.
But okay, to be fair, Bob never wore matching outfits with her, and Hopper does all the time.
That's true.
I mean,
what, jeans and a Hawaiian shirt? That's not really.
No,
Hopper got himself.
They constantly match. Like they both had like the same winter coats on in one scene. They're both wearing Hulk Hogan t-shirts. They're both wearing Russian uniforms. Like they're both wearing the like space suits. They constantly have matching outfits.
I don't know what Harper was complaining about being in that Russian prison. I mean, they must have a good fitness center. Dude was chiseled.
Jack, tell us, how long did it take for them to put on those fake scars on your back when you did the body double for Hopper?
It was a long process. I'm not going to lie. You have to sit early morning. You got to get there like 4 o'clock. It's like 9 o'clock. You can't move. I don't know.
How long did it take you to model for my shirt?
I've been married how long? And with all those kids, it's like 30 years.
So was that experience better than the time you did body double in International Assassin?
No, International Assassin was much more. It was a lot more. I enjoyed that a lot more. But it was funny though when Harper took off his shirt. I go, he used to be fat and pudgy. I mean, wasn't he? I mean, he was like us. He was like a normal guy, And then all of a sudden, it's like
he was popping. He was popping painkillers and drinking beer for breakfast, and
But they tried to explain it, but the food wasn't good. I go, okay, I can see it. You'd be like skin and bones. You wouldn't be.
I mean, but it's sort of like a prisoner of war camp, right? Like that's kind of the situation he was in. I'm sure that like they just starved him. I mean,
well, I get that, but he didn't look like he was starved. He looked like he was,
getting ripped. He's working out.
Plenty of protein. It was like, what's the guy in Survivor ate 18 eggs a day for his protein?
Listen, I mean, he was eating all that moldy bread. He was rocking penicillin, like.
That's true.
But anyway, they did have them do that forced labor in the first half of the season. Where
in real life,
feet. Oof.
I don't know how he was able to fight.
He did Black Widow like back to back with this, right? It was like
I'm still going to the final.
Right. Yep.
Going to the final episode, I'm still trying to figure out the plan with him and Joyce and Murray when he goes and he sees the monster. He freaks. Then he turns around and runs. He has the flamethrower, right?
No, Murray has it.
Yeah, but okay. But what was the point? They're trying to bring them all to Murray. Is that what
the hive mind? They were trying
to get them all into the cell.
Oh, okay.
To flame them out or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
I think
because unlike the kids who are normally the smart thinkers in this series, this set of adults is like, we need to pick up the raid when we go to the army surplus store.
But
it's a flamethrower, so they take them all out.
Could they just been standing in that location? Rattle some, hit some things, some pans on the wall. Why take it? Well, why try to outrace the guys?
Yeah, dramatic effect.
Yeah, yep. Some of this is, if you had told me at the beginning of the season that one of the final fight shots is going to be Hopper with a sword
With the Conan sword.
With a Conan sword, like
yes.
cutting the
did
Demogorgon in half. I would have been like, that's stupid. But
where did the sword?
Cool.
Where did the sword come from?
It's one of those weapons that they gave all the prisoners a few episodes.
Came from the
ago.
head of Gryffindor. I'm just
that's
telling
right.
you.
Well,
And it was
couldn't
really dumb not to have Murray flamethrower the thing while he's
Yeah.
I was gonna say, why didn't Murray just stay around for one more?
because it looked cooler to have Hopper.
Well, I get it was cool, but it's like, okay, Murray just they're not, he's Harper's not out of danger.
Jack,
I'm gonna go outside and wait for this helicopter that may or may not show up.
Jack, you were an adult in the 80s, so you know exactly. You should understand this better than anyone else. This was like the purest form of triumphalism, right? Because he can, right?
The whole stuff like that just kind of bothers me. It's like, okay.
Well, it should, but it's
I mean, I get it. It was a fun scene with the sword and how he's killing him. But I'm like, there's no way Murray goes outside and leaves him in there with still one creature to kill.
Jamie, the reason why Jack's so upset is because they asked him to do the body double with the scars, but they didn't let him kill the beast. That's why he's upset.
No, they didn't.
No, he didn't.
No,
get
he
the
got
call.
really upset
They
when he
were
got there, and they said, "No, you're the body double for the Demogorgon."
Sorry.
And I said, wait, is he using a real sword? This is not CGI?
This is just one of those moments that were like, it would be really cool, and that's what happened.
And the thing that, if I'm not mistaken, this happens like as one of 3 different scenes, right? That are happening around the same time.
Yes.
The main one being 11 fighting against Vecna, and then those 3 fighting against Vecna, and then him fighting Demogorgon. And I don't know if you guys had heard the remix of the Kate Bush song before the episode, watching episodes. I hadn't. So the way that they mixed that to me was just like perfection.
Yeah.
Because
really
they start with the No, they first start with a little bit of Kate Bush, and then they emphasize the Stranger Things theme, and then they bring on the Kate Bush vocals, and they just mix it all perfectly.
I heard from someone that she was making $2 million a week.
I hope
that
so.
Song.
I think she's made about 2.5 since the thing started.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Well, still, that's a good chunk of change for an old song.
You bet. Yeah.
He's still bitter that he only got paid for one scene.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be clear before I ask this question. You guys answer it. Is it music time?
Yeah.
Is it music time? Like,
yes.
I have some words.
Let's go there. Let's do this.
All right.
Let's do this.
Let's go in order first. From that first episode, we have fire and rain, right? Okay. And then you have the bane of every television show in the history of the world. The last ditch attempt of any showrunner is to put Journey in a
You bet.
in a song. It's not an original thought to put Journey in a show. I'm just gonna say that.
Well, the way they did though, they remixed it. It was kind of nice.
I do have to say that of all the things I have seen, this was I approved of this use more than I often would.
And I think it was also in Tron, but no other shows. Right,
Larry David.
No, that's Uncle Junior, sir.
I know.
Okay, very good.
What happened to Eckhart?
My
camera went out?
cut out.
He wants to be Lou. He wants to be Lou from The Leftovers.
Who doesn't want to be Lou?
No, everybody wants to be Lou. And from what I can tell, there was no other musical moments in the entire series, so I'm done.
Jamie, was it Metallica? Was it Metallica?
Oh. So I should let you guys know that as soon as we had that conversation, the last episode about the BC Rich guitars coming out, I started messaging Jamie before the show about what we thought the song was going to be, because that trailer came out with Eddie playing guitar.
Yep.
And I got very excited because, it's Eddie in the Upside Down playing guitar.
Yes.
And we were just like, she was like, it's got to be Iron Maiden. I was like, oh, but they like the first most popular song of any genre, so it's probably going to be Crazy Train or something, because one, they mentioned Ozzy before in the show.
Yep.
And it's bats.
And it's bats. And also
they just need Ozzy Osbourne up there just ripping the bats' heads off one by one.
Ozzy could have done it himself. And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm a bloody rock god.
It's
But,
full of lightning.
But Iron Maiden's mascot is Eddie.
That's just it. That's why I thought we were. I thought that's where we were
And
going.
then in the first 5 minutes of the last episode, they're looking for tapes, and Eddie goes, "This is music," and holds up an Iron Maiden tape.
Music. Yeah.
So I guess I'm the only one in the entire world besides Jamie that when Metallica played, I was utterly crestfallen.
So that's why you had that weird tweet.
Boo.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden.
But, okay, it makes. All right.
It makes sense.
Makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense. But it does make sense.
That's one of the few songs from Metallica I like.
Well, and truth be told, to the general music audience, right? If you say name a metal band, it's going to be Metallica. That's who's going to get. I mean, even though there's a really long list of, in my opinion, and many's opinions, that are far more metal and better and would have fit, at the end of the day, your general viewer is going to say Metallica.
Remember, you have to get permission also.
Yeah.
Someone has to be willing to sell the song to them. Maybe Iron Maiden said, "No, we're just happy not making money."
I don't think that Iron Maiden said no. This is why. One, Iron Maiden's Facebook page has been sharing all sorts of dubbed videos with their songs over the top of it, saying, "Here it is." Two, there was an interview that I had read this morning asking how did they cinch this song? How did they get it? And they said that they never had another song in mind. That's the one that they wanted. They went, they asked, they talked to them, they explained the storyline, and were approved.
So it has nothing to do with anyone seeing how well Kate Bush did and then maybe paying the show to.
Oh,
No.
you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
Well, because it was already filmed before it got released.
Right. But
so nobody knew about the Kate Bush thing.
But it's so hard because we didn't know that it was going to hit like it hit. But here's the thing: the fact that the first statement that was made is there was never any other song in mind. It's like, okay, all right, you bet.
They're politicians.
Well, seeing as how so working at a guitar store for years, I totally buy that Eddie would know that song and play that song.
Oh, but here's the thing.
100%.
You do realize that album was released 3 weeks before
I was about to say that
took place.
Yeah.
3 weeks. That kid is an amazing guitar player. If he was able to
not anymore.
Listen, if all he does is practice Maiden, he'd be able to pick up Master of Puppets.
Not only did he cinch that solo in 3 weeks time span, he was also able to write up one of the biggest campaigns in D&D. So what? This guy
and sell drugs,
and that's why he's not graduating.
Well, okay. Now I found out it's 3 weeks before it was released. 3 weeks before that date was supposed to. There's no way, because he was literally sounded just like them.
I mean, he had a lot going on. He was running and hiding and running and hiding. And why wouldn't we use this song that literally has "Run to the Hills" in it? I don't know. Why would we do that? That doesn't make sense.
Listen, Running Up That Hill blew up so big, so fast. They had a month between time. They could have dropped that in. That's all I'm saying. I don't think they did, but they could have. They could have done it. Yeah.
Maybe season 5.
A lot of Duffer criticism here tonight.
Listen, I just want to say that I love the episodes, but
I
we need to talk about something. I can't just sit here and say, "Oh, I loved it. It was great. Let's move on."
I thought they're both fantastic.
Yeah. And I, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not a Metallica fan, but I can appreciate what Metallica brought into the mainstream and the appreciation of metal. I have nothing bad to say about that. I don't. It makes sense why they would use it. I just don't like it.
Right.
But that was a bit that actual 3 week time frame actually bothers me.
It bothers a lot of people, and there are definitely discussions online about maybe Eddie saw it at this one show they played 6 months before, and he has an audience bootleg tape of it, and that's where he learned it from. All right, okay.
That could happen.
It could be. I mean, Eddie has the means, right? He's a man of means. He carries his drugs in a lunchbox.
Cool J Crafter asks, "What is this?" We don't even know.
We're
Yeah.
not sure.
It's stranger
Smoke
than
monster.
Yeah.
All right, so according to Vecna, he arrived in a place and he basically formed a pack with the smoke monster, right?
And there were cute
Yeah.
little demi dogs like kitties, right?
And what we
They
don't
really
know,
are so cute till they open their mouth, right?
Yeah.
I guess what we don't know yet is if that place he arrived was a creation from 11, right? And that's probably something that we'll get more answers for.
Right.
Next
I
season.
really thought they tipped it on the fact that she just opened the gateway.
Yeah. And let him in.
Yeah.
No, not being rude. We're just talking about Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in other media they might kind of hint at the fact that this is kind of like her evil side.
Yeah.
Like her other half.
Okay.
But this is still a kid show on some level, even though they're trying their best to make it not anymore. Given like how intense those scenes are with Max going into coma.
The kids are getting older, so I think they can get more graphic with it. I mean, I don't think season 1 we could have had kids being ripped apart. Right. Because Nancy would have been so upset.
Yeah, they have to reach a certain age before we socially accept that these children characters are going through some of the trauma that they're going through, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean,
if only we did that in real life, ching. But I think that could we have handled like little toothless Dustin going through something of this caliber?
No.
I mean, they made us watch Max get her arms broken. I almost died.
Yeah, I thought that was.
I know.
Everything she went through in the attic.
Yeah, I was not.
And Lucas went through.
Not a fan of that. And I have to say that scene with Lucas, like this kid has not had many scenes that he really gets to stretch this craft he's working.
Right.
He hasn't, and he finally got his chance. And when he called for help and then called for Erica, like like it gutted me. But apparently that was improvised, by the way, too. That was not a line. He
really?
Yeah, he threw it in the moment. And
wait, which line?
When he's calling for his sister.
Oh my God!
She's another fast runner.
Yeah, she's
Dude, what is up with these jocks beating up children?
Yeah, they're real jerks, right?
Well, he was.
Jack, tell us. You lived in the 80s. You used to do that.
It's just part of it's just part of life.
Yes,
but
and Dave will explain it to us.
To be fair, he was the child beating. There were two kids beating up each other.
Erica and the football player.
Oh, Erica and the football player. Okay, that was a little different. Yeah. But she got the best of him.
Well, yeah.
Right.
But
that arm bar. I mean,
can we talk about this world of coincidence at the gun store?
You mean where Molly Ringwald was hanging out?
Well, everybody. Molly Ringwald, who by the way rented Fast Times at Ridgemont High and left it on the Phoebe Cates scene, right?
Right.
And who else was there? Nancy was there. The basketball player was there.
Yeah.
There was tons of other people.
What a weird
there.
place for everybody to hang out, right?
Well, that's where you go get your weapons of mass destruction at the local.
And like your dehydrated camping meals. Like, what is this school doing to their children?
Well, the mall's gone, right? So they
I was about to say. This is before Costco was created, so
yeah, this place was packed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like there's not that many people in the town left, right?
I mean, Jack, did you go to places like this before Costco?
I did not.
Yeah, and there were very few adults in this place. Like, that's another thing. I mean, this is such a movie thing, right? Like, the gang of kids goes and solves all of these mysteries and has these adventures without the aid of the adults. There's no adults in this world. I mean, all the way down to like the Muppet Babies. We have been doing this.
I was
at the Army surplus store. Like, seriously, what are all these middle school and high school kids doing here? It's weird.
I was trying to figure out
the canteen end cap. Anyway,
I was trying to figure out has Nancy had experience with weapons before? I mean, she's sawing off the end of the gun. I mean, the gun would have some serious kickback, wouldn't it?
She was really.
She weighs all of 80 pounds.
I mean, I think I
Yeah.
vaguely remember them doing some sort of combat training in like season 1 or season 2.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
I
this,
vaguely
okay, I
remember
don't
them
know. Like,
firing rifles.
I grew up with family members that had, guns were a part of my life since I was a kid with hunters and stuff around. But you're not going to see me sit down and have this confidence like I'm sawing this in the exact same like right place, and I'm totally cool that this is going to work, and no worries. Like, what?
But
Is
that's
this
her
just
jam.
like a Wheeler thing? Is this her dad working through her?
No, that's her. Like,
I don't think the dad's ever got off the chair.
It's just like it is what it
He,
is.
once he got a remote control, he didn't need it. He didn't need the kids anymore, because when I was a kid, we were the remote control.
There you go.
I'm
We would have to get up
definitely
and change the
getting a shirt
channel. Yeah, but the dad, once he got that remote control in his hand, he never got off the chair.
Well, clearly, all that she needs is a saw in her hand, and then she's like, "Whatever, I'm big piece of chicken. We're good."
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never fired a gun, never held a gun, so I'd be lost. I've seen war movies though. I've seen a lot of war movies.
I just feel like she would have gotten hurt when she fired it. She is really teeny tiny.
Yeah,
but I mean,
that gun shop scene. That's a bit of social commentary. I would add too. I think
For sure. Yes.
And I'm a
well,
genius.
it was the 80s.
Yeah. The 80s. It's always the 80s in the Stranger Things world. I just kind of wanted to also just say I cannot find the actor's name for the life of me right now. But when she runs into basketball jock extraordinaire, and he gives her the whole what for conversation that we get with him and that kid. I don't know. Like I said, we were all glad when he got tore in half after all the crap he pulled.
Nancy?
Not Nancy, the basketball guy whose name
Jason,
is
I think his name is.
Jason. Yeah. This actor, I don't know if anybody else got this, but there's so much Brad Pitt going on with this kid. But we're talking like Cool World Brad Pitt, right? We're talking like the beginning stages of some Brad Pitt action.
He had a lot of dialogue though.
Yes, he did.
He had a lot of dialogue, and I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, we didn't like him.
No, but again,
I don't know if he had to die, but you know.
He did.
He wishes he had Zapka's charisma.
He had to, because if it weren't for him, we would have been able to see Max get pulled out of that, So yeah, he had to go. So we couldn't stick around with this fella.
Yeah, Jason had what? He had a Magnum, right? His firearm, right? He had the same firearm as Dirty Harry, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So
that's who they needed. They just should have got Dirty Harry.
That would have done it.
Dirty Harry ain't gonna lose to anybody, right?
Yes, a 90-year-old would have really.
But in the 80s, he wasn't 90 in the 80s.
Yeah, he was on.
Are you sure?
I think he's been 90 for really long.
I saw Magnum Force, and he looked like he was 90 to me.
Yeah, but he still would have kicked our asses.
Yeah.
No doubt. You can kick my ass today. You know what I mean? I just walked in the line of fire. He'd
beat you with a cane.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Get off of my lawn.
When
another note too, since we did talk about Lucas, just the scene where Lucas is reading to Max in the hospital, and he's reading Talisman to her from Stephen King. That is the Duffers' next project. So I thought that was
okay.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're starting a new Netflix production company called Upside Down Pictures, right?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah. And they're working with Spielberg too. So see
look
how
that
that
up.
Stephen King Spielberg thing came together? Perfect.
Has Spielberg done anything recently?
West Side Story?
Yep.
Anything I wanted to watch? Is there anything?
Hey, it's worth watching. It was good.
I did see the original.
This was good. It's worth watching.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, if you're down.
The curse of West Side Story. Was it? No, it was because a lot of the people died in it in terrible ways. Some movie. It was like James Dean. Is James Dean the
Rebel
original
Without
West
a
Side Story?
Cause?
Rebel.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Rebel Without a
Yep.
Cause.
Yep.
Sal Mineo.
Yep.
Natalie
Wood.
Yeah,
of
no,
course,
the
James Dean.
main guys from West Side Story are still alive. Russ Tamblyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Russ Tamlin, George Chakiris, and
I watched it once.
Rita
That was
Moreno.
enough.
Come on.
Rita Moreno. And I know we're getting off topic here, but she's like 90 and she looks like she's 50.
She could
It's all
kick
that
Clint Eastwood's
dancing.
ass.
It's all that dancing.
So I think I loved Will and Jonathan's scene almost
Yes.
more than the ones at the
Yeah.
end.
Yes.
Yeah. You're talking about when they were, we never talk anymore.
Right.
And Will was pretty spot on. Well, you're always stoned.
Right.
Well, are you talking about like when he's
You don't have to yell at me, man. I can do what I want, but
do
still.
what I want. Do what I want.
By the way,
But I didn't think about that from Will's point of view, though. So I really like the fact that he said that to his brother. Like maybe he did want to talk to you, but you were hanging out with Argyle all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Dude.
And I'm just going to go out and say it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. And I'm going to say that Noah Schnapp is the best actor in that crew. That kid is just amazing. And the scene that he has with Mike in the van, and he's basically confessing his real feelings towards Mike. Just holy crap, that kid can act. It's amazing.
And considering the first season, he really was not a major player. I mean, he obviously gets lost, but he's not in every episode.
No, you're right. He's what, the first episode and what, the second to the last and the last. I mean, he's,
well, he has a few scenes where he's under duress, right? Where he's running
and
away.
that's and it seems like, but every scene that we see him in the first 2 seasons, it's like it would be, as a kid, if you think about, go back into your like, you know, young self's mind and having to be so vulnerable with all these like physical actions and the duress and stuff like you're speaking of in front of all of these other kids, and to be able to do that convincingly, I think really says something for the gift that he's got. And I think that I hope that he just like keeps acting forever and a day, because I think he's on the precipice of brilliance. So.
I agree with you, but I think he could have been a little faster at trying to get Mike to get 11 pumped up, because I think Max might have survived, because it took him forever. You're the heart. You got to get in there. And of course, Mike is like, huh? What? I got to do what?
Mike isn't being super on the ball, is he? No.
Well, the actor that plays Mike has 2 reactions.
Yes. But I hope that someday we see a biopic of Joey Ramone and that he plays him.
I mean, his nose has doubled since the last season, right?
He's growing so much and so fast.
He's like 6 something. Isn't he like 6 something? I mean, he's huge.
It's gang.
Well, this brings up an interesting point, because they did say that because of the kids that there is going to be a time jump before the next season.
There has to be, like, for it to make any sense. There has to be.
But also for it to make any sense, they have to pick up right from they left off, because like what's gonna, the Upside Down is everywhere. They got I'm sorry for this. I just came up with this term before we started, so I apologize for it now. They had some Schindler snow. Right.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like it's snow, but it's not snow. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So it's coming down everywhere.
I think we got the title. I think you got the title for this episode.
Yeah.
Nice theory thought.
And then in parentheses, Ethan said it.
Ethan said it. It was Ethan.
Ethan
it was Ethan.
Okay. It's okay. Ethan said it.
Yeah, I couldn't.
But the Upside Down is right there. It's covering everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like what are we going to do with this?
Well,
time jump with the kids,
They did say that this coming season is going to rely heavily on like theories of time travel, right?
Oh, nice.
Oh, did
they? Because everything is set to the day that Will first got there.
Nice. Yep.
So they're definitely going to jump. We're going to be jumping around, which maybe means we can get characters back or not. Maybe whatever happened.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Ooh.
There's all these different takes. So that's the fun of time travel.
As long as we get Papa back.
Oh, Papa.
By the way, I love
he did everything for her.
I like the fact that they really left that ambiguous. Like, I like the fact that like she didn't really forgive him.
Right.
The fact that like it, he basically was so convinced that he did it for them.
Yeah.
And and it might be that that's how we genuinely felt, but the reality is that there's obviously an abusive relationship there.
Right.
But it's so ambiguous, and I love the fact that they just leave it there, like without any sort of closure for forgiveness.
Yeah, because most shows would have said, okay, we need to wrap this up. Let him have his closure. Let him have it. Let him have his. Okay, I'm not a complete a-hole.
Like,
but the way 11 handled it and the way she left was like, okay, yeah, like you said, I don't forgive you. And he died knowing that.
She actually was trying to reach out more to Vecna to kind of bring him back than she did like to kind of patch things up with Papa.
And that's, I mean, but that's because as a child, he is the person in that place that showed her respect for who she was, not what she could do. You know, it wasn't her powers that he was interested in. He made friends with her, whether it be from manipulation or not.
Right.
That's the connection. And it could have been worse. I mean, Papa could have got a roller skate to the face. Instead, he was just left in the desert.
I forgot all about that.
I mean, she's had worse battles.
Mike didn't have the heart then, did he?
Speaking of Mike is a butthead friend, I didn't know. This is how I knew about our timeline with March and like the Metallica album dropping and all of this. But on the video camera, where we see for a second where it's showing 11 in the skating rink, you know, when they're like giving her the whole Carrie treatment. The date on there is March 22nd, and that's Will's birthday, and no one mentioned Will's birthday.
Yeah, no, that's been in the news, really.
Why is this kid went from like, oh, we're just gonna drop you into this scary other place, and the only person that's gonna go looking for you is your mom, to like not even your mom is there acknowledging your birthday.
No, because Harper's more important. She had $40,000 just sitting around where she could go, okay, I'm gonna go save Harper.
It's Hopper. It's Hopper, Jack. It's Hopper.
Hopper. Why is
Harper, whatever his name is.
It's all the same if you can't read. But
I can't remember my own name.
This poor kid. He's getting ignored. Everything's about 11. He loves 11, but there's all this thing going on. Mike's living in his little.
Well, there's jealousy.
I think the Duffer said that they really screwed up on that, and they're actually and they're actually thinking about going back and giving it a special edition with whatever line Joyce says to say his birthday is May 22nd.
Oh wow!
Because
we're gonna fix our mistakes with a magic eraser, huh?
It's not like there's a coffee cup there or anything.
I want to see a birth certificate. I want proof. I don't want just this crap where they go, okay,
we need
it was May 22nd, not March 22nd.
We need a birth certificate and tax returns.
Yeah.
Yes, we need all of it.
2 forms of ID.
Yeah.
I did like when, everyone's having this wonderful reunion, and then suddenly you just camera pans on Will's face, and like I think you even see something slightly moving on his neck.
Yeah,
like
the hair
and the music comes back up, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I forgot he was. I was like, oh, that's right. He has all. You completely forget that he was the first one.
That's what I mean. Like people tend to forget, or his friends tend to forget. I mean, here's the deal. I know 11's got a lot on her shoulders, right? And
there's a lot on her plate.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, and she's got these powers, and that's going to take a lot of attention. But homies, this kid has literally been to hell and back, and still cares about you. Please be better friends. Be better friends.
Plus his dad's a jerk, right?
Yeah. Yep. He wasn't nice. No, he wasn't. He wasn't very nice. But I totally forgot that this kid was spitting out Demogorgon eggs into the sink and stuff. So
season 2,
still
right?
Got it, dude.
And he got rocked in season 2 as well, right?
He could eat 50 eggs, right?
Yeah.
Cool hand, Luke.
Yes.
So. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the last scene that we see of Argyle is sitting down inspecting mushrooms, right? And he's not in the closing montage that's supposed to happen 5 minutes later.
Gonna blow his mind.
You can't do
picked
those
a
upside down
wrong
mushrooms,
day.
man.
Did they bring? At least they finally showed the pizza van stopping for gas, or at least at a gas station.
Right?
I go, what is this thing? Is it a hybrid? The first hybrid? Or what the hell is going on here? Because this car never stops. We're gonna go to Utah. Now we got to go to Nevada. We got to go wherever they're going. I said, okay, eventually you're gonna need some gas.
Yeah.
I have to be honest. I actually
That's a
thought
long way.
the Argyle character was pretty annoying most of the season, but for me, him making a pizza in the middle of all the stuff is probably the funniest thing in the entire series.
Well, use your talents to help the team.
Yep. You know, one
So
thing I
to-
really, really love about him, because he is a little over the top, right? Like he's
Mhm.
Okay,
definitely
over the top, yeah.
over the top. But like the fact that he is so willing to just be like, yeah, cool, whatever, you know, let's do this.
Because he's stoned.
He's not questioning. Right. He's not questioning reality or like freaking out. He's like, yeah, all right.
He's
cool,
impressed
we're
by
doing this
it.
now.
What else is he gonna do?
But he found the bunker, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
He's got
Another
those
thing with
wide
the-
tires, man.
And I said this. I
Chinese.
think I said this the first time about the bunker. Why is there a big door? Why is it not underground? The whole thing, so nobody can find it.
It must-
I mean,
It's like
eventually-
all just flat,
Eventually,
flat
someone's gonna,
flat.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, just
it's
one
like, is this
door.
get smart? I mean, there's all of a sudden there's a door here.
well, I was going to
What
say
is
it must
that?
be a
What's that?
reference to
That's just-
something.
It's just the door. Don't look at it. It's just the door. Don't worry about
Must
it.
be an homage to something.
It's the
And-
forge.
And to work, was it Surf Pizza or something?
Surfer Boy.
Surfer Boy.
Surfer Boy Pizza. I guess you have to be stoned because the guy that's running the place, it was his brother.
Yeah.
Nah, man, can't leave.
And he bought him off when he bought him off with a joint.
Yeah. Oh wow.
He
Man,
gave him
those
keys
were
to
the
whole thing.
days. This economy, man.
Well, that falls in the same thing with the
So much
sword. It's
easier
like,
in the
okay,
80s.
it's there.
You need salt.
Yeah. So
I'll
we
get you some
literally
salt.
have more salt than any pizza place ever keeps on hand ever. We have what you need.
I guess.
Jamie, let me ask you a question. In season 2, because I forget, did they actually use the song "Every Breath You Take"
I don't remember.
at the end of that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I didn't remember it.
I thought they did.
I don't remember.
Maybe I'm wrong because I just heard that song like 10 times over the weekend or something.
Oh, what a horribly annoying song choice.
It's like on a commercial or something right now. So
Yeah.
I hear it.
Is that what it is? Because I know I've heard it like
Yeah.
1,000 times.
No, they
Yeah.
do. They do use it in the at the dance.
Okay.
Yeah. There you
When
go.
they should have
There it
used OMD at the dance, quite frankly.
Yeah.
They should have used OMD at the dance. And that's
But-
what I remember from the dance, and that's what I remember hating about the episodes is they should have used OMD.
But they in the twisted version where the balloons pop, that's a nice homage to
Oh,
it,
yeah,
isn't it?
And is that Mama Cass doing Dream a Little Dream? Since you already mentioned Mama Cass?
No, I haven't seen that. It was.
I
It
I'm
was-
going to
it was-
accept it as fact.
She does my favorite version of that, but it was definitely Dream a Little Dream.
Yes.
Dream a
We
little
I
dream.
recently just had a conversation about this song on another podcast and how it's one of the most popular songs that ever gets licensed for television shows and movies. So the fee must be fairly affordable because it does get used a lot. So most recently we had it on an episode of The Boys. So it gets put in there a lot.
Where was it in The Boys again?
It's the song that
Does
what's her name?
Kimiko sing it?
Yeah, she sings it in her head.
All right.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that whole scene with Max at the dance, that's being her that's her happy thought, right? That's her happy place.
Right.
That she runs to and hides. One, I find it really kind of funny that like a teenager has picked a school dance as being her happiest memory because quite honestly that tends to not be the case for many teenagers.
But now remember, for Max though, she had
Yeah.
a pretty rough life.
She had a really rough time and it was like
she
the
she
first
wanted
time-
Billy to die because Billy was such an a-hole to her.
Yeah, and he was
And
a
he-
jerk. He wasn't
yeah,
a nice brother. Mm-mm.
You know, and so she had a rough life. So yeah, that would be
Yeah.
a dance. And
So I kind of
And
loved it
Lucas
too
and-
because Max is so she's like, if you think about the type of girl who's going to get like romanticized or like have this like really wonderful notion about a high school dance, Max does not fit that personality type. She's a skateboarder, she wears army stuff, she walks around flipping both birds at once. I don't know, there's just something so inherently adorable and badass about Max that I loved that it was a school dance for Max of all people. The 11 I could see, but Max, it's cute.
Yeah.
But it probably was like the point where she was happiest, right?
Right. Yeah.
In the series.
Yep. She had a group of friends and she felt like she belonged, and she had big feels for Lucas, and he had them back, and that's a really happy memory.
And it was like pure and innocent, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to like Max probably enjoyed like, at the beginning of season 4, like being sarcastic about joining D&D, right?
Yes.
Right.
but that dance was like a really pure moment.
Yeah.
Right.
But the gym's neutral territory. Sorry, I had to say
That's
it.
true.
Yeah. So
one other thing with Max too, with all of her, I did somebody else out on the great World Wide Web pointed this out. I had missed it completely. But the school counselor, who we know all of these victims all go to the school counselor with similar problems. She is wearing a necklace that has the clock on it.
Yeah.
So just a little nod that way.
TikTok,
I don't know
TikTok, right?
Yep. And I don't know if it necessarily means anything other than just that connection. It
has to mean something.
Yeah. It's there. There's some connection. Well, we know the connection is there with the counselor. But if she is, let's say she's Cass, or she kind of, maybe not Cass, but that kind of, she somehow is in league with, she would have all of the information to be able to give him of their biggest fears, their guilt, their shame, every weakness that they have. So there's something to ponder, even if it goes to nothing.
Again, with Max and Lucas, when that big scene was coming up and he was holding on to her, they were playing that Moby song, When It's Cold, I'd Like to Die. And I remember that from the first season, when Hopper, I guess when they were doing the flashback to Hopper's daughter dying.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's the same song. And the reason why it stuck out to me then is because it was first used in 2006 in The Sopranos, when Tony was in his hotel kind of world, when he got shot and everything.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Okay.
Spoiler alert from
way to ruin it for everyone. 16 years
but
later.
The end of the show is Tony sitting on the bed in his other world, and that song is playing, and like the moon rises and the show ends. So
that's where he's a salesman or a
yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I totally had forgotten about the use of cool. Well, and also really sad.
Yeah, it's
sad times. I'm hoping that somebody like introduces, a Discman to these kids. Because I'm thinking about this, like, you know what? Here's a flaw. Here's the flaw. If you have to play that song constantly to keep yourself safe, at some point you got to rewind or flip the tape. You know what I mean? Discman.
Or fast forward and flip the tape because it doesn't have a rewind button.
Yeah.
Or you have to tape onto both sides and just create continuous loop.
Eventually the tape will wear out.
Loop it. Yep. I've had it happen a few times. Oh, God forbid it tangles. Are you carrying a pencil? If not, you're dead.
That actually would have been great if like they built that in there. That like the tape rips.
Hold on a second.
Remember the first time you first saw an iPod? Not when you got one, but when you saw that there was one and it was a thing. Come on.
Like, what magic is this?
What kind of future are we living in? What did you guys think of the whole I think it worked really well, the whole 7-episode month, then 2-episode. I think the show was more in the national conversation for so long.
Yeah.
I was against it at first, but I didn't realize the last 2 episodes were going to be so long.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that works.
Yeah, I think having those last 2 episodes at the length that they didn't make me feel like we were ripped off of any time, or that the space in between was unnecessary. With having 2 long movie length episodes, it makes sense that the gap was there almost. It kind of gave you, it was like your intermission, you know?
Plus, it was well done. If you would have come back after 2 weeks and it had been a Dexter ending type thing, it's like, okay, this is terrible. What
Nobody
are we doing?
Wants that.
Yeah, that would. There's actually pressure on them. You know, any show now, because you cannot have a bad finale, right? You can't have a bad season finale. You can't have where, all right, that's just
Hopper
stupid.
turns into a lumberjack doesn't work.
No. Then he comes back.
He sleeps all night and he works all day.
Yeah, in a prison camp.
Yeah, right.
Stuck for that prison camp.
American.
By the way,
American.
That was actually filmed in Lithuania. Like it's a Nazi
really?
prison camp. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So that would have been a lot of heavy, creepy vibes to be carrying around, but I think it probably worked well for what they were, that energy probably worked really well for what they were trying to get across. But
so was that real snow? And I'm talking about real snow.
Right, the real snow. I mean, I would assume so.
Okay.
Well, Jack, you tell us. I mean, you have to fly out there for that scene.
Yeah.
I did it on a green screen in California.
So you didn't go to that weird church?
I did not go to the weird church.
My dad just sent me some 23andMe type information about myself, and I'm part Lithuanian. So
hey, there you go.
Lithuanian Jewish.
I don't want to talk about 23andMe. It's just disappointing.
Yeah. It's just disappointing. Didn't live up to your hype, huh? Your family history hype.
It did not live up to how I was told growing up. I'm just white. That's all.
Yep.
That's all there's.
So, and one other thing too that I kind of wanted to go on with Eddie, and I think it's kind of coming back up in the news again. So I thought it was interesting to talk about it. Eddie's character was inspired by, the story of the West Memphis Three. His character was directly inspired by Damien Eccles, which is part of with the West Memphis Three. He was in prison for years, and he wrote a biography. It turns out that he's innocent in this case. There was no satanic rituals involved. He was not killing children, and it turns out those that know him say he really is a stand-up human being, and that was someone that they really were inspired by when they wrote Eddie's character. And there is some conversations that have been, I don't know all the details or anything like that, but they are going back into these cases and trying to pull up more information about it. So I thought it was kind of interesting as we're coming back into that storyline, how there's this huge pop culture character literally based off of one of these people.
Wow.
Might be interesting to see where that goes. And it's an interesting human being to read about. So if you're looking for some reading, I think you would be maybe not entertained. It's not happy.
But
but interesting.
But it's also in the tradition of something like Watchmen, where I was very ignorant of the Tulsa Massacre, right?
Yes,
until I saw Watchmen.
Yeah, really opening your eyes to social injustices that have happened using pop culture to pull people into real history. It's sort of a awesome way of doing things. Really reaches the kids, as they say.
I think the best thing to do to teach your children anything is have them watch Finding Your Roots. That's the best show for teaching your kids about American history.
Yep, we record every episode and we watch them all.
I don't think I've seen it. What's it on?
It's a PBS.
Yep.
Oh.
And it's
it's where people get interviewed and then they give them their genetic.
They track down famous people. They track down
the Damon Lindelof.
Oh, okay, okay. I have.
Interesting.
All right, I've seen that.
Yeah. Yeah, to find out that you have an entire family line that was wiped out and you didn't even know. I mean, it's so amazing because you do get to go in and know the history of what happened, why these things happened, what was happening in that part of the world at that time. You're right. It's a great show for people to watch and get that information. With Eddie, one more note on him. I think it's also his character, or not just his character, but any that are written like this, where it's like you have the social view of what this person is. The social idea, the misunderstanding, the misinterpretation of like always satanic rituals, and he's a bad guy because he likes this and this, or because that was a real thing, right? With the D&D
or because he
game.
sells drugs or whatever. Yeah,
right, or video games. It's like a common thing that repeats. Those drugs, I mean, they're not so bad,
Well,
right?
and anyone who is different
Yes, exactly.
and didn't go with the norm
right.
was ridiculed. I
And
mean, I know they tried to change that with not bullying and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's still the same.
But I love that we have this one little group of misfits, that are looked at a certain way because they like certain things in pop culture.
Well, even Nancy Wheeler, who's not, she's
right.
She's,
I mean, the girls, sawing off shotguns. We don't know who she really is, but the ideas teaching the generations that are watching this, the younger generations that are watching this, and seeing all these different cliche groups of kids and how grossly misinterpreted each one is.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I think that's a really great lessons that are being taught to the kids, is and in a very not PBS special kind of way, because it's scary, but it's much more realistic. They don't dumb down that part of growing up in this at all.
I mean, the social commentary, I mean, the flip side of what you talked about with Eddie is the way that they portray the captain of the basketball team.
Exactly.
The guy who's like so ambitious, as Lucas says, you're basically, what does he call a sociopath, right?
Yeah, well, and he brings in, he's good, he's clean cut, he's into sportsmanship and religion, and he's an ace, he's just an ace of a kid, and here he is leading an angry mob of accusation and kind of a little bit of a sociopath.
And I mean, where Lucas, I mean, there's actually, this is where they wrote Lucas as a probably mature beyond his years character, where he explains to him why Chrissy didn't tell him about her problems, right?
Right.
Because he wouldn't actually listen.
He wouldn't listen.
He wouldn't have empathy, right?
She wouldn't do drugs. She wasn't that way.
Right.
If she had problems, she wouldn't go to that freak. She would come to me.
To me, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Did you guys see the little illustration that's circulating of Eddie and Chrissy, with their graduation cap and gown on? Oh my God. I'm like, oh, it's so cute and it hurts a lot.
Well, I think we all, I mean, I don't know, you guys, we definitely had the empty chair at the graduation. When I went to high school, there's always, someone that you go into 9th grade with that you don't go with to 12th grade with.
Yep.
I'm not sure Hawkins High is going to have a graduation this year.
It's
not looking like it.
Nope. I don't think so. They're going to be making PB&Js. That's what they're doing.
Because they had 22 people die that they know of.
Yeah, it was
in the town.
And then a huge wall of missing people. And let's just, since we were kind of talking about Eddie really quick, talk about Eddie's uncle and how. Okay, I can imagine how this show and this storyline with Eddie would have hit for me as a kid, but as a parent, how this scene hits just is gut-wrenching, because this uncle loved that kid and knew who that kid was more than anybody else in the world until Dustin. And just how great it was that we got where Dustin told him that he knew who he was, and that he was a hero.
And he got some closure.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. Tough stuff. That Eddie's story.
Dustin did leave out the part where he was too slow to rescue him.
Yeah, he's like, if I would have run faster, we wouldn't have been having this conversation.
Yeah, I could have probably got in there.
Grab some raid, maybe.
Dustin's not perfect. He did let his little alien dog kill his cat.
Yeah, and then
that is true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, not his cat, his mom's cat.
But
that should have been the end of everything for him.
Justice for Muse, okay?
But his plan actually worked. which was the most amazing thing that like they actually did, they they kind of executed on it, and the part that they needed to do actually worked.
Yeah.
Did we know that Eddie was going to die because when Steve goes, all right, don't be heroes. This is your job. You're just to distract them. Don't be heroes.
No, we knew,
okay,
we knew
I said,
Eddie was
okay.
going to die when he tells Dustin, "Don't ever change."
Yes. Oh my god.
That was it. That was like that's
When he
letting
said
everyone know.
When he said, "Stay golden, Pony Boy."
Yep.
Right.
I think we knew he was going to die when he started to play Metallica and not Iron Maiden.
That's it. He signed his own death warrant right there. This isn't going to go well. I kind of had a sneaking suspicion, one, like you said, because they have this knack of making you really love these new characters so that they can have somebody to kill off outside of the main crew. But also because when the entire town truly believed that he was a serial killer, and how are they going to prove to an entire town that there's this other world and that there's this, that Vecna, like how
I don't know. There's red stuff going through
now,
the town.
given where the storyline is headed, which we didn't know before all of this, now maybe they could. But yeah, it was like, okay, there's just like, I just can't see a plausible way of Eddie surviving this. Like, what is he going to go live under an alias, like move out of, state? I mean, I guess the internet doesn't exist. I suppose he could live in the woods somewhere.
They would have just, make one call to Dr. Paul Reiser and, get the
There
fat
you go.
bank account of $50K.
Well, Dr.
He
Paul
would've given
Reiser's
him
still
the old
handcuffed to
snow
the
treatment,
pipe.
By
He's
the
still
way,
there.
the most 80s thing is calling your adversary a son of a bitch twice.
Yeah.
Like it's like a double tap insult.
Listen, Paul Reiser is also right now on The Boys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yes, with a very different
Oh
version.
yeah. And he's rocking it everywhere. And he brought up the greatest name in the history of the human language.
So he
said
he was
Kelly
rescued.
LeBrock. But
Yes.
He was rescued because the army leaves. I mean, 11 destroyed all the vehicles and stuff. Does he get unhandcuffed? I mean,
there were people under with him.
Yeah.
There's soldiers and stuff under with
By
him.
the way, I know, Jack, you were thinking about how worthless that military police was. That was the closest thing we got to law carrying guys in the series, right?
I was like going, what? I go, shoot. You could ricochet the bullets off the side, right?
Right.
When they're going through that
Even
tunnel.
worse, like
shoot. Why are you shooting at the shield? Shoot, ricochet it.
Military was coming in at, like putting the shields up and down at like a pretty regular tempo.
Yeah,
I think it was there's a lot of it. There's definitely, I read online where there's definitely some shot for shot stuff with that very first scene in the first Star Wars.
Oh,
okay.
With the
Nice.
Rebels and Darth Vader getting on the Rebel ship for the plans.
This is not who you were looking for.
Except
I
for
just
this time we got like bullets made contact.
Right.
yeah, I think they could hire better security. Is what I'm trying to say. I just didn't like those guys were terrible.
I just don't like how they had this.
Like they were sneaky, right? Like there was no sneaking to the magic door in the middle of the desert. They made quite a spectacle.
But just the whole I just get weird about the whole.
And isn't there an
obviously
elevator?
soldiers,
Isn't
but
there an
soldiers
elevator?
fighting each soldiers.
Yeah.
Isn't there an elevator from the door up? Don't you have to go down? You have to go down.
It's just a staircase. Clearly, it's literally just a hatch door with a staircase with no security.
I thought 11 when she goes with Dr. Paul Reiser, she goes down an elevator once they go through the door.
Yeah, no, there is that's the main entrance, which is like a regular size entrance, and then they had an escape exit.
But the army came through the military came through the main door.
Yeah.
So wouldn't they have to go down an elevator?
Yeah, they did.
Here's an idea: disable, bring the elevator all the way down, disable it.
Security camera. I mean,
I'm not an expert.
Well, there's a hatch you can enter from the top that you can look down and you see, but on the other side there's a door you can go in if you need to get a shirt.
I'm just saying there's better ways to, like I said, an elevator can be used to your advantage if it's like, it seemed like they went a long way down. So if it's like 20 stories down, disable the elevator.
well, that's what I mean. Just put a flipping security camera up at the main, like we don't know them.
Or you blow, or if there's or you just blow up. You let them get on the elevator and blow it up.
There are.
But what if 11's there and you need her? I guess they were trying to sell her anyway.
She has there's another exit out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was the whole time like going, okay, you people are useless.
Okay, so this is what we've learned, right? That they can write all sorts of dramatic to a T, dramatic storylines when it comes to emotional arcs and like Jedi powers, but they just fall a little bit short on like strategic weaponry, military execution.
I would actually argue that that's actually done on purpose, in the sense that, I mean, Ethan mentioned this was like an
Pushes
homage.
the story along.
No, but it's to give that sense of the 80s style.
Right.
It's a stylistic element.
We don't need reasons or it doesn't need to make sense. It just does.
Because it's kind of like, think about the scene where those mercenaries attack the house in California.
Yes.
And you have like that one very slow moving FBI agent shooting all the mercenaries that are coming in.
That is true. I forgot about him.
That is just that is like a stylistic element of 80s action movies, right?
You're right.
Just like, military coming in and overpowering, their equivalents. Like, I don't think any one of those soldiers died, and all the military police people just got mauled, right? I mean, that's just same thing with, Hopper picking up the sword instead of signaling to Murray to burn the last guy down.
His name is Harper, dude. So you know.
Harper Gladfelder.
So
whatever his name is, Mr. Chiseled now.
Stylistic element, for action scene. Just like Nancy wielding the shotgun. I mean, it's just like you have to suspend some.
Right.
Yeah, that's just hot though. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's true. There's a little more purpose.
You have to kind of use your imagination.
I mean, we can argue that each one of these like things that don't make sense are references to movies. Like I was gonna say, like Nancy's scene where she's firing the shotgun, isn't it almost like scene for scene from like Terminator 2 with Linda Hamilton shooting at the T1000?
Linda Hamilton was a little more buff though.
Yeah, well,
he was pretty rough.
Well, she had to do all those pull-ups in the insane asylum.
Exactly. I'm going to say right now, I don't think Nancy can do a pull-up. I'm just going to throw it out
don't
there.
think she's there yet. No.
Okay, y'all are forgetting, like, she's the one that was like, oh, we need to go buy guns. We need to go here to get guns to the police station. She's like, no, I got guns at my house.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
I forgot about that. Yeah, but then they got there and all she had was her diary or something,
because
right?
of the time.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, she was kind of chosen, right? Like, she was chosen to just, like, she was, in all of these, like, bad guy shoot 'em up things, right? One person gets left behind to tell the tale, right? And so she was kind of that, you need to go tell 11, like, what you saw. Yeah. What's so special about her? Why was she the one that got chosen?
Because they know she doesn't care about anybody.
Is it because she's a journalist? I mean, is it just her? Did they use her to tell the story because that's inherently what she does?
I forgot she was a journalist. Yeah.
I think maybe she had a real connection to the Upside Down because of Barb. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, it is an interesting plot element because I mean they do talk about her being like Nancy Drew, right? The inspector, right? Yes. But like they didn't really explain why Vecna decided, okay, you're the one I want to use to let everyone on your side know what's going on.
Right. Because like he literally kept her from being able to go back over to the other side.
And I think he even says something like, you were so close to figuring out. Mm-hmm. And,
does anybody else want to see Nancy and Vecna singing "You're the One That I Want" from Grease now because he said that? Because that's all I want.
Well, she has
Can she sing?
She should dance with him, all like Patrick Swayze. And
tell me about it, stud.
No one puts Nancy in the corner. That's what I want to see. Now, okay, so we've got this whole thing with Nancy. I don't know if anybody else hit on this, but like I find myself just going, just smash the clock, guys. Just smash the damn clock. Like,
oh my god, like Tommy with the mirror. Oh my god.
Did anybody else like have that kind of thought? Like, there's
it's a good one.
It's a some nice Horcrux action to this clock that rings 4 times.
Look, they were under a lot of pressure. I'll give him this. And to think about, okay, the
True.
clock, we got to
Little
smash the
bit.
clock.
But you would have expected Dustin to think about that, given
Yeah.
how much he's into the whole mythology. And part of the mythology was that the Lich has like, I forgot what the term is, but it's the same thing as the Horcrux.
Right. Like
Well, the problem with that group is that a lot of people.
that talisman of power. Yes. Yes.
The
So-
problem with that group is they had a lot of leaders. I mean, they had a lot of people that had opinions on how to
It's true.
destroy
There's a lot
it.
of
So
cooks making pizza in that kitchen.
exactly.
And sometimes it winds up with pineapple. You know. What are you gonna do?
Nothing wrong
Which
with
I'm
pineapple,
okay
my man.
I'm good
because
with it.
Mike didn't like pineapple, right?
Yeah.
Mike's
yeah.
kind of an asshole. Let's face it.
What a jerk.
Mike's a lot like his dad too. I mean,
Well, that's true. Yeah, I think he's taller than his dad now. His dad's like 6'5", isn't he?
by far, this kid is so tall.
Do you
Again,
think the
Joey
dad knows
Ramone.
that? Do you think the dad knows that Nancy can shoot like that?
The dad doesn't even know the kids have been missing since 1984.
And
Like,
he's
he's
got
no
no.
idea.
He's got no.
His wife has changed her hairstyle like 20 times. He still doesn't notice her.
He has no patience for this Hellfire Club story. He knows that too.
She's like,
Yeah.
she's joined aerobics club. She's had every hairstyle. She's
Yeah.
had like a pseudo relationship with an underage boy. I
Yeah, at
mean,
least he's not going to the pool anymore every day.
Let's
Yeah,
get physical. Anyway,
yeah,
So-
she is.
That's
he
a
is
lot of
not
Olivia
aware.
Newton-John references for one podcast, guys.
There's-
The scene of 11 and Hopper in the cabin was
Oh,
Yeah.
like it. There's so
Yeah.
much that happened in the season that like that comes up a few times. Obviously, more at the beginning, but like they really did that in such a way that it had such a big payoff.
well,
Are
she
we
broke
done with
away from
Russia?
Papa. She broke away from Papa,
yep.
and
So now she can really.
Hopper is her dad.
Yep. Yep.
But
And she always left the door 3 inches open because that's what he asked.
But is Russia done? Like, are we done with Russia? Like 100%?
We thought we were,
I
but it
think
turns
so.
out no, we're not because
Well-
you're talking about the show.
Not in real
Okay,
life.
I thought you were talking about
We're
real life.
We are never done with Mother Russia. Never, never.
I mean,
Yeah,
they didn't explain how they actually. I mean, we're assuming they brought it back from Hawkins that
Yeah.
that part of the smoke monster, but we're not sure, right?
Right.
Right.
I mean,
Leave
the
it to
smoke
Russia,
monster went into the Demigorgons to bring them to life.
Yeah.
So
Even the life.
it's always
line.
a smoke monster. It's always a smoke monster.
And I mean,
Always.
Every time.
it's what they made a few references to the season 1, how they sent people in or 11 in to find
Yeah.
sorry about
Into
that.
the void, like into the void.
Yeah.
hmm
And so like
To
you
find
know
one.
it's
Are you standing?
Yeah.
So you're like an anchor man now, an anchor person, I should say.
Yes.
so
'Cause they all stand now, right?
for sure. But the point is that like when that came up, like it wasn't clear like in what context that was, right? But now we actually have like some real context, like that there is like exploration going on there from both sides, right?
Right. Yeah. And she's out there looking for what? How did Robin say it? Was it like Vecna / Henry /1? Like, what are we calling him? That's who
right.
she was looking for on the other side. And just,
We didn't talk about Robin. Looks like she found happiness.
I hope so, because she is a damn gem, that Robin. I just love her. She is a ball of sunshine. She took all of the best things of both of her, this actress, Maya, she took both the best things from both of her parents. And I love her. I love her. I can't wait to see her in other things.
She's a smart ass, which is perfect
Yes.
for me.
But like the Molly Ringwald analog, I forgot the name of the character.
Yeah.
She basically came out and described who she was by describing who Robin is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Robin's acting all cool, like, oh, okay, you're weird, but I'll deal with it. But she's just.
And
weird.
the actress that plays her, she's also on Anne with an E. I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea, Anne of Green Gables, but
Is she the main character?
mhm.
Of course she
Okay.
is.
Well, I'm just saying because my wife watches it, and
Yeah. And
when she's not watching Grey's Anatomy.
She's great. Yeah, she's But you're right. She like just basically laid out every like goofy, neurotic thing about Robin.
Right.
You know, and it was like instantly, and then the pan over to Steve, like just being so happy for his best friend. That talk about like a redemption arc. This kid.
Why are they stretching out this Nancy Jonathan thing? Why are they stretching it out?
I don't know. It's really weird. Just like let it go.
Well, because Jonathan wants too many kids. I think, or not. Steve wants too many kids.
Definitely let it rip. Steve definitely let it rip with his life plan.
She goes, wait, you want 25 kids? Maybe we're gonna have a reality show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, I was at a family party last weekend with 3, and it was crazy.
That's a lot. Three outnumbers you.
Yeah.
It's too much. 6 is way too much to ask for.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And one thing the show does, especially this season, I don't know about the other seasons, but definitely this season, every character, from the main characters to the supporting to like minor characters, they cast them really well. I mean, they definitely borrowed a page out of Leftovers for that, in terms of all these side characters. Like even like we were just talking about the girl that Robin has a crush on. Like they like used like a really serious actress for that, right? Just for that one scene.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. Like, and that was at the end of the entire series, right?
Yes.
So
you're seeing a big trend in I don't like to say just Hollywood, but you're seeing a big trend with writers and staffing and casting in the past 10 years. And I think that like season 1, Jack, I think you might have touched on this when you first were doing a podcast with Stranger Things, is that they are changing the way that they cast child actors. I mean, it used to be, it was really difficult. I mean, that's why you had people like Drew Barrymore, right? Like she was one of the few child actors that could carry a scene. You know, we had our group of child actors who like, yeah, they found trouble throughout life, but there was a very small group of them because children acting has been notoriously annoying. Because
it's hard.
Yes, it's incredibly difficult. It's hard to it's not just a hard craft to do convincingly, but when you have lived so little life, what experience do you have to draw from?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that like you've got like the Duffer Brothers, like and like I said, I credit them because I feel like they're a big part of Hollywood really rethinking the game on how they cast, because these kids are great. I mean, even when they were very inexperienced in the beginning, you were not annoyed by any of them, and you could have easily been,
except for Mike.
But even in season 1, Mike was really good, I thought.
Yes, he's become a little complacent, but I mean, he was good acting, and casting him in It, you know, that's another good example. You have a cast full of kids. Again, they're all great.
Well, like I said, this show has to work because the kids are the main characters.
Yes.
It's like I said, there was a show years ago I used to complain about, was Nova and the kids Terra Nova. The kids were so bad at acting, it ruined the show. I can't watch it anymore. And it eventually got canceled because I said, okay, let's eliminate.
Kids weren't ready.
Yeah. I said, let's eliminate the kids parts. And because the other part of the show is interesting. This is, again, it's not the 60s, 70s where we go, okay, it doesn't matter if a kid can act or not, you know.
Right. It really means something now. We used to kind of fall on this like, well, it's okay if they all are Disney in a non-Disney type movie, but that's not okay anymore. Like the kids need to be able to bring it. And in many cases, the kids steal the show. I mean, they're just... They feel every bit of it. And it's sort of like if you go back to you know, like Little House, right? Landon as a director was able to work with these kids and get them to find like the real emotions inside of them, so that they could really like pass a scene as believable. And now it seems like that's the norm. That's no longer the exception, that is the norm, and I appreciate it because I love seeing Obi-Wan kids bring it.
The girl that played Princess Leia, I said,
Yes.
I thought she did a fantastic job.
Yep. Agree. So that's, I don't know. That's something else that I really appreciate with Stranger. And yes, of course, there's other writers and directors that are bringing this up. We're expecting more out of the craft itself, but
I think
I feel like they really pulled it through.
I think Full House started it with the Olsen twins. You got it, dude. That was always spot on. I mean, it was just they were fantastic.
Yes, top tier acting from day one. You bet.
Well, like you go the Brady Bunch, it's just like, okay, they were who they were. I mean, it was just but now it's like these kids can, even like I said, we're make fun of Mike, but he can act. I think it's just how his character is supposed to be.
Yeah, honestly, like his character is. I'm not saying Finn Wolfhard is an asshole. I'm saying Mike is.
Right.
Well, he might be. I mean, we don't know him well enough.
Well, I asked him to be on this podcast. And he said no. So
he was like, "No, what?"
F you,
he
Jack.
Was doing podcasts from Ghostbusters Afterlife.
He asked him to be on the podcast, and he was like, "What is this?"
It was a podcast. It's 1985.
I'm happy.
Yes, and he was great in Ghostbusters, right? Like he didn't play. He didn't play.
I thought he was. Be honest with you, I thought he was Mike in Ghostbusters.
a little bit.
You know what? I heard he was also in a band, and I was just like, oh god, that's never gonna get.
Okay, but man, if he really is in a band, I accept it.
All right. Well, you and Jared Leto can go accept it.
But the kid looks like he's in a band, and it's not just a Ramones remark. Like, doesn't he just, bless him, he's got to be in a band. It's all over. He reads a band. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
You better start reading season 5 because I can't wait that long again.
That was what was it, like 2 years? Did we wait 2 years?
I heard it was like going to be another 2 years.
Probably going to be another 2 years.
I saw somebody like, I don't know, somebody is like, it wasn't going to be in 2022, and somebody was getting all mad. I'm like, you legit thought that like they're going to drop the next season in the same year? What? No.
Even
It'll
if
be like 5 years from now.
Even if they filmed them back to back, they wouldn't drop it in the same year.
No.
Anyone think that Mike needs to come into some money if he's going to stay with 11?
I mean, she could really make
it. You see where I'm going with that?
Well, I'm not saying she's a gold digger.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
she just don't forget.
It's the 80s. It was, we were,
She deserved
not a lot of substance there. Because Mike is the heart.
He's the heart. He's the heart. He's Will's heart. He is Will's heart. What do we got here? See? Yep, you're right. You're right. Yep, I can't disagree.
But what if they're both at the same time? What if we didn't know them as rock
they did
stars,
both? Yeah.
But their acting took over, and then they said, hey, well, I was.
Well, no, because somebody is always got to be an actor / musician or a musician / actor, right?
I had no idea John Doe was a musician before I saw Great Balls of Fire.
Really?
Yeah.
Because his acting isn't really.
he seemed great for Jerry Lee Lewis's cousin.
I gotta be honest
with you, by the way. He's not getting a lead role.
As a kid, I always thought Elvis was an actor first and then a singer.
I liked that movie.
Yeah.
It was an excellent movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
Well, do you guys have anything else on? Did you find any other Easter eggs? We've got a long list of our horror movie references. I think we talked about most of them tonight.
Well, I was going to ask you, Jack. The term brochachos didn't exist in the 80s, right?
Yeah, it was brochachos. Yes, that was.
Did it exist?
I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah.
Okay, because that.
Now remember, I was turning towards. I was not really an adult. I was an adult age, but I was becoming an adult at that time.
Yeah, but you would have been aware of like what the slang terms were. Like, I never remember hearing that on the East Coast.
Were you hip enough to know the slang?
It's probably definitely a California term.
Yeah.
Brochacho sounds like a California.
Everything was bro, dude.
Yeah, because
we didn't get a bunch of that vernacular till that Nicolas Cage movie, Valley Girl.
Valley Girl. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, dude
that's right. He's in that
Midwest thing, right? Like it wasn't. That was West Coast for a long time.
Well, it was a surfer term, dude.
Dogtown or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, just watch that. It'll give you pretty much how people talked.
I only actually watched that movie at 57 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, John, the retired guy, he's never heard that before. Well, he lives up Northern California. They don't know anything up there. Anyway, California's like 4 different places. You have San Diego, and then everything else north of it is just, who cares?
Nobody cares about that part.
No.
Yeah, you got like the wilderness and mountains. You've got the beach.
Deserts.
You've got the city.
You have all that water. Oh wait, I guess not.
And Otisburg. Little itty bitty place.
A teeny tiny town. Okay, well, I mean, do you guys have any other predictions?
Well, I was gonna ask you guys, do you think, since I think they showed 8 in the flashbacks in the past couple episodes, I didn't think they would ever go back to that season 2 kind of like Divergent episode, because no one really liked it.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, because it sucked. And you know, like
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
It was such a divergence from where we were watching.
Right.
Right.
And you know, 11 showed up and her hair was slicked back and she was in a trench coat and, you know, did the thing.
Huh.
But you know, they showed 8, her sister, in the flashbacks with Vecna.
Yeah.
So do you think that
she comes back and helps defeat?
maybe not all the X-Men, but just wait.
We didn't see her, like, she didn't get killed, like, obviously, so we didn't see any sort of death in her future self.
Right.
Maybe, I mean, she could. Especially if we're going to bounce around in time.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, if you're bouncing around in time, pretty much anything's on the table.
Well, going back in time, can she change what she's done? 11, all the stuff that, you know, she blames herself for.
But that's what I'm wondering. Are we only jumping through time in the Upside Down? Or is the Upside Down becoming enough of like this realm that we can jump back and forth in this realm? And again, with all of our different, you know, everybody in this conversation has some bit of time jump theory under their cap. So it depends on what theory they follow. Like what rules of time travel do they follow?
3 words. Gray's Sports Almanac.
There has been an awful lot of clock, you know, references. So if they find the tower, it's a possibility.
I was gonna say, like, are they gonna bring a DeLorean? But they did that. They already did that season 3, right? They did the BTTF season 3.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this is the final season, right? I mean, the next one is it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So can they pull it off? Because that's always since Lost, I've been saying this. Can they pull it off? Can they make it? Because there's going to be people that don't like it. They're just going to say, "Oh, that's stupid. That was a dumb ending. That was lazy."
There's always going to be someone who doesn't like it.
Well, if half the season is a throwaway because it doesn't actually exist, then no, they're not going to do it.
Right.
I mean, they probably have the time and the budget to put out a very good product.
Yes.
I mean,
and I have to say, I don't know what I was expecting in season 4.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know
no
that I
clue.
got way more than what I was ever expecting.
Yeah, same.
So,
I mean, I think they can do it. They've obviously shown us that as these kids mature, the storyline matures. If they didn't have that, if I hadn't seen a very clear path of the story maturing, then I wouldn't know. But I feel fairly confident they will give us a 90% thumbs up final season.
you know, John, the retired guy, said, you know, last season was all a dream. If they end Stranger Things with Patrick Duffy in a shower, the show is the greatest show in the history.
Yeah, but the thing is, even after the dream's over, Mike is still an a-hole, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
What about St. Elsewhere, where it was all a snow globe?
If they get Ed Begley, then I'm good.
Yeah. I just think
They were in purgatory the whole time.
I lost my train of thought. Anyway, thanks, John. You screwed me up there.
Sorry,
Way to
my
go.
bad.
Wait.
No, not you, it's John.
Okay, he was a host.
No, I think that they will mostly nail the landing on this. I can't see that they wouldn't.
Oh, I was gonna say, will one of the main characters die?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think
we
It's
see-
going to be Eddie.
No, okay.
Twice. It's going to happen again.
It's Lucas, 11, Dustin, Mike, and Will. Who dies?
Steve.
11 and Steve.
I think Steve
I'm
dies.
going
I
with-
honestly do.
Really?
I think there's a really good chance it's Steve. I think there's a good chance it's Steve.
Nancy goes, well, I kind of loved him.
Well, but Steve's only happy ending is with him in a trailer with 25 kids with Nancy.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's going to make us as an audience feel good for Steve, and that can't happen. Nancy's not that kind of lady.
No.
Okay, the best line of the night. John, the retired guy, says Nancy's mom wakes up in bed with Newhart.
That's fantastic.
In the upside down.
Okay.
in the upside down. It's a total like Twilight Zone ending. They wake up in the upside down.
Like, yeah.
And can't find his glasses.
I think out of all of our like main stationary, our nucleus of people, I think it's going to be Jonathan. I think Jonathan's going to be the one to go because we've got to give Nancy and Steve the green light.
Well, is it? I've always asked actors when your character, the show's reaching the end, do you want to be killed off? Because that's one way to, that's the best way not to be typecast, right? Is you're killed off.
Yeah.
Okay, that character no longer exists.
Yep.
I mean,
It might depend on how the death is written. I think that plays a huge part in it.
No, it has to be a spectacular death, right?
Yes.
There's no doubt in my
Like
mind Millie Bobby
like a
Brown
Charlie.
wants to die.
Yeah. I agree.
Because I think it's one of those things where it's like you sign up for a show, you get excited, but then you find out like 8 years later you're still indentured to the show, and you just...
because even when she's done other projects, she's not getting a lot of like positivity from it because she's 11.
Right.
When you become a character, I mean, we've seen it in like a lot of other shows and movies where certain characters are just like you can't unsee them. You cannot see them in any other way, especially if they're a villain, like a really like Joffrey in Game of Thrones, for example. Like this kid isn't gonna ever convince anybody that he is not a psychopath.
But he quit acting. But he quit acting.
Exactly, and
that's why.
That's why.
Because he was like, I made my money. I did what I came to do.
Probably got a lot of
more.
Probably got a lot of hate mail too.
Yeah. So
and imagine being really so good at your job that people hate you for it.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
I get that all the time.
Well, I mean, I was about to say Jay.
Jay doesn't answer the emails. He doesn't know.
He's not gonna look.
And just to spiritually be here for Caleb, I want to say I think the ending of all of Stranger Things is Elizabeth Mitchell coming through the upside down and killing everybody. That's for you, Caleb.
I think Caleb moved to Hawaii, didn't he?
I think he just went there on vacation for like 2 months. I'm not sure.
God. Anyway, more power to him. Was that all we got? Are we done?
Yep.
I think I'm done.
I've hit every note that I came to play.
Nice. Well, thanks for everyone that joined us in the chat. I thought this was a great conversation. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until season 5. 2 years.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be a lot older. That part sucks, but everything else should be good.
I'll be on the other side of 60.
I'll be a lot skinnier.
Ah.
So we get to use the "you shrunk" line on you by then.
So you're going to a Russian prison?
Yeah, he's going to take the Hopper diet.
Going to a gulag?
I'm going.
He's going to have the Harper diet. The Harper diet isn't trademarked.
Yeah.
Gonna find my ancestors in Lithuania.
There you go.
That's one way.
All right, guys.
I mean, there's happier ways, but you do you.
Hey guys, sorry about the snow thing. Get over it.
That's fine. I actually forgot about it. Now you brought it back again.
It's really funny.
I am always front row center for a macabre joke, and kudos to you for nailing it.
Like I said, I could debate it, but that's okay. I don't mind.
Certain allowances.
All right, guys, we're out.